Hi everyone, and thanks for joining today. This is going to be an introduction to the security operations management within ServiceNow. I'm going to take you through a walkthrough of how I see the landscape moving forward today. And I'm sure you'll probably relate this to your existing organization's structure as well. Today I really see three key areas in security management. That's enforcement, detection, and visibility. I've thrown in some examples of some of the tools that you're likely familiar with, maybe even using within each of these areas. But as you're going to see on the next slide, there are numerous tools out there. So let's take a look at all the information in this huge wave of security noise. That's exactly what's happening here. We have constant noise. So we have to somehow manage this noise. We have all of this information coming in from several different sources. So I'm sure you've got different tools in place to monitor or look at the large amount of events you have each day. So what has to happen here is we have to be able to collate this information into something meaningful and take action on that data. Today you're probably doing this with spreadsheets, emails, etc. So let's take a look at the next phase in security operations management, response. You can now do away with your spreadsheets, your post-it notes, and your emails. We're able to collect all of your information from all of your existing applications into one manageable and actionable solution. Currently, there's nothing else on the market that's able to do this with the power of ServiceNow, with the CMDB, the workflows, tasks, and everything else within ServiceNow. So why should we even be doing this today? Well, let's take a look at a few of the organizations out there that haven't done this and are probably seriously regretting it right now. So I'm sure most of you have done some online purchasing, home remodeling. I'm reluctant right now to use my credit card at Home Depot. Sony has been hacked around their gaming community quite a few times over the past few years. What does this all mean? It has rattled the consumers, the very people you were trying to sell to. You really don't want the bad publicity or the fallout from this. As you can see, we've shown you a few of these companies that have been in the news very recently, but whether you're in the news or not, there's a real cost to being breached. The average cost of a data breach, $3.7 million. Now these can be costs associated with rectifying it or costs that Home Depot or others have to pay for your personal credit protection. So let's take a second and ask ourselves a question. Are we secure, and are things getting better or worse? Now, I ask a lot of my customers this, and very often they can't answer that question, or they can't really quantify whether they're getting better or worse. And that's because they have no overall visibility, nothing to compare it to. It's all in email, spreadsheets, and so on. So let's take a second. We're going to drill down into two examples of problems that I'm sure you see there out there in the landscape today. So the first problem we see is we're missing the ability to track critical incidents. The way companies are doing this today, it's just not trackable or actionable. Let me show you an example of what this means to your company or other organizations out there. So here you can see some average times that it takes to identify a breach and contain that breach. 70 days to find it, 200 days to fix it. Not acceptable at all. So now with ServiceNow, we can track these critical incidents, we can start collecting the information, and then we can reduce the time to contain and eradicate those breaches. So let's take a look at another problem organizations are having today. Breaches due to existing vulnerabilities. Remember, lots of times these vulnerabilities are sitting there for months. So on this slide, we can see the several different data collection apps feeding into our vulnerability scan database within ServiceNow. So we can collect all of this information and compile all of our vulnerabilities on the network and contain and manage them in one place. Now we can eliminate the precursors to our breaches. So with security operations management, we can use all of the information collected from within our CMDB along with relational data, and we can see what critical business services might be affected. Is it a credit card application or a major service, or is it just a test service that we really don't care about because it's not a critical business app? Again, this helps me prioritize my vulnerabilities and schedule my remediations. So let's take a step back for a second and look at how ServiceNow is going to collect all of this information within security operations. Now, this suite of applications is really divided into two key areas: vulnerability response and security incident response. And they have relationships between each other, but they can also be used completely independent of each other. So let's take a closer look at vulnerability response. This is where the integrations with your scanning tools and the NVD database, or National Vulnerability Database, are going to help identify vulnerabilities on your network and help you manage and prioritize remediating those items. The NVD database is where all of your systems around the world report into the centralized vulnerability database, and then you can identify all of those items across your network and take action on those items. So let's take a quick step into security incident response from here. This is how you can handle your security incidents, whether they were created from a vulnerability or leaving a data center door wide open, the theft of data, or a bug that just came out today and your scanners haven't even found it yet. All of these workflows are designed with the best practices from NIST 800 to help eradicate your issues. So we gave you a bit of an overview of the different areas of security operations management. By collecting all of this data in ServiceNow, you can get better insights into your security incidents, view your SLAs, your risks, and your priorities. These are all extremely powerful now to your organization. So let's take a second and talk about why we're here today. Why is Cerna here? This isn't just about selling you another solution. As you know, you have to have the industry best practices in place. Now, we've done a lot of GRC and security implementations. We have a wealth of experience in the security operations area. We're able to help integrate with the source data and the wave of security tools you saw a few slides back. We're here to help you navigate this arena and make sure that you are successful with security operations management. How about no more spreadsheets for your security team? No more managing all of your incidents, your security incidents on spreadsheets. So now I'm going to take you into a demo. But before I do that, I'd like to kind of set the stage for you, see what you're going to be looking at here shortly. And we're going to start off by assuming one of our scanners has identified an issue or a vulnerability in our network, or the NVD database has been found with an issue. So we'll take a look at the vulnerabilities from the NVD database and see how that affects our organization. And from there, we'll take you into how do we respond to that vulnerability. And then we'll be creating a security incident and go through the entire life cycle of that incident. So let's go ahead and step into the demo. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our demo of the Security Operations Management module on ServiceNow. As we mentioned before, our main purpose here, our main point, is a vulnerability alert or some piece of information was found during the import of the NIST vulnerability database. So let's go ahead and click into the NIST database. And I've recently published or downloaded the most up-to-date information from this database, and it correlates against my CMDB to let me know what on my network is affected or has a possible vulnerability on that. Let me go ahead and click into one of these items here. We can see some more detail on that. I can see vulnerability scores, which are calculated out of a CVSS vulnerability scoring system that the manufacturers provide. I can go ahead and create a security incident off of this, or create a change record if I need to apply a patch or something during our patching window. And then if I scroll down here, I can see what it has actually found on my system that is affected currently as well. There's another way I can go ahead and look at all the vulnerable items too. I can click into a vulnerable items link that will give me everything that has been found on my system, when it was found, what it's tied to. If I go ahead and click into one of these vulnerable items, you can see that I know exactly what CI is affected, what the vulnerability is. I can click on that vulnerability or hover over that for more details, any configuration details, IP address, DNS info, ports, etc. If it's going to be ignored for some reason, we know about this vulnerability, but we don't want to take any action on it, we can go ahead and put some reasoning in behind that. I can also go ahead and create a security incident out of that, as well as create tasks to fix that item. Let me go ahead and create a security incident. Now, the security incident, we can do this manually, or we can set up some certain business rules to say that this type of vulnerability is always a high-level incident that'll trigger workflows and such. But for this demo here, we're just going to go ahead and create this one manually. And this is creating a whole bunch of workflows and notifications and assigning things. So you'll see this pop up here in just a moment. A severity calculator ran. It determined that this is a very high risk, it's a high impact, high priority. That is all based on the type of vulnerability. It was assigned to Isaac, and you can see that the security incident was actually created. So I can go ahead and click down into that security incident. So again, we've found a vulnerability on our system. We are manually taking action on that and creating a security incident out of that. As you can see across the top of the screen here, we have a whole host of the different states that are defined by the 800 NIST or NIST 800 best practice standards, to analyze, contain, eradicate, etc. throughout this incident process. We know everything about this, what category, we can assign categories to it, what's affected by it, description, if there's any knowledge-based articles tied to this description that will help us resolve this issue, we can go through and click on those as well. And then lastly, I can scroll down. I can look at my impact and priority items. Any response tasks that we may have taken based on this, if I needed to go talk to the CEO or I needed to run a software scanner and update the system, any affected CIs, obviously all of this detail can be found here. And then any impacted services. So if we have certain business services that are affected, we can take care of that information as well and look at that. So that's a security incident. Now I'm just going to go ahead real quick and go back to our dashboard. And you'll see, we have all of our security incidents grouped by type and heat maps and trending to keep, all of this information impacted throughout our network. We have it all contained in one source. We can now take actionable process flows on this items and make sure that we resolve them all. So thank you. That was our brief demo. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.